Hey everybody, it's author MJ Gallagher here. Just looking to talk to you about what I've been up to in the last month or so. Usually I do a kind of two weekly video. This time because I've been a bit crazy busy, I've had to push it back to a month. Um, Basically, the main thing is, as I'm sure you're aware if you've been following my work, that I was at KuppelCon a few weeks ago. Since then, my 10-week-old son Finn has developed teething, which that's been a lot of fun. Very limited sleep going on in this household. Not really had a chance to do much kind of personal stuff. I was hoping to catch Black Panther. I was also hoping to start watching Altered Carbon, the Netflix original. All that's had to be put on hold just because my life's a bit of a shambles at the moment. Still on a come down from KuppelCon itself. After about a week, I went back to work. Still kind of riding on the high of how amazing an event it was. I had a colleague of mine come up and ask for my signature, which brought the whole thing flooding back. It was fantastic. Turned out they only wanted something countersigned, so that was a bit foolish of me. If you haven't seen it already, I actually have done a separate video altogether about my thoughts in the kind of aftermath of KuppelCon, so check that out. I won't really speak about the event anymore in this video, except to do with the artwork that Crimson Sun has been producing for the KuppelCon novella that I'm working on with Crim and AJ Haitley, retelling the Nibelheim events from Final Fantasy VII. Um, wow, what can you say about Crim's work? It's just absolutely fantastic. We've been working through some of the chapters. Some are kind of redrafted versions of what appear in the A New Threat novel that I wrote, which tell the Nibelheim flashback. Others are actually original content. So Crim's been churning out some incredible artwork for that. If you are a patron of either myself or Crim's account, you'll actually get to see some work in progress. We do release bits and pieces there, because the novella itself is exclusive for KuppelCon in Birmingham this September. We're only releasing bits and pieces, but if you are interested, if you want to see a bit more behind the scenes work, do check out our Patreon accounts. We're a few chapters down, like I said. I'm just kind of slogging through. I've kind of realised that in order to give ourselves enough time to be able to get everything finished, we're really going to have to get one chapter done each week. So it's a tall ask, but it's certainly achievable. Just so that we've got maybe 6 weeks before the event to do any final edits, to make sure that everything's ready for going to print, things like that. Again, for anyone interested in that project, I've actually released the first chapter, the entire first chapter, which is a scene from Crisis Core with Zack and Sephiroth. So you'll be able to read that. Everyone has access to that for free. Do check it out, and again, if you are interested in finding out some more or getting to see exclusive things, do follow my Patreon. It'd be much appreciated at my end. What else I've been working on? Like I said, it's been a number of weeks since I last did a video. So for the Myth Monday things, we've got through O, P, and Q. O was Mount Olympus, the kind of the Greek, not heaven so much, but the where the gods lived. Quite a lot of great information going on in that one. P kind of followed on with the Greek theme. I actually went for Pegasus, the winged horse from Greek mythology. Pegasus is quite an interesting character. His origins, it's connected quite heavily. In some stories, it's connected quite heavily to the god or the Olympian Poseidon, who was the ruler of the seas, and the Gorgon Medusa, who had her head cut off. The lady with the snakes for hair. So Pegasus was actually born from Medusa having her head cut off, which I didn't know about in advance, so that was interesting. So do check that one out. The last week's one as well was Quetzalcoatl, from Aztec mythology, Mayan mythology as well, but under a different name. Who is the kind of the god of the wind and god of wisdom and knowledge, and actually played quite a large role in Aztec culture. Anyone who's ever played Final Fantasy VIII, you'll also know that he's the GF, of Lightning. So it is connected. So do check that out. That was another interesting read. In the next couple of weeks, I'll also be doing R for Ragnarok and S for Sun Wukong. Ragnarok is the apocalypse of Norse mythology, where the current cycle comes to an end and the universe is reborn. Um, that's one of my favourite mythological tales. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It plays quite a prominent role in Extella Array as well, and the kind of the backstory of what's going on in that world. So it was good to be able to sit down and write something about Ragnarok. The following week, patrons will also have access to the Sun Wukong, who is a Chinese, not quite folk hero. He's based on a monkey god from Chinese mythology and Hanuman from Hindu mythology. But it's a character who appears in a 17th century novel called Journey to the West, and he's just brilliant. Sun Wukong is one of my favourite characters ever. He also has a connection to Extella Array, but I won't go into that right now. I hope that's a bit of a surprise for any readers. But please do check that out when it comes round. With Extella Array itself, a couple of weeks ago I released the first part of chapter 16 with my Extella Array web serial. Patrons also currently have access to the second part of chapter 16. Again, patrons always have access to one step further. The chapter itself is all about the kind of Earthborn arriving at the Elfin Council. It's kind of set in an enormous glass tree on a kind of in the middle of a city on top of a mountain. It was really cool to kind of have a think about what I would like to see in a certain fantasy novel and come up with that concept. Of course, the elves in Norse mythology as well, very heavily connected to the ash tree. But the chapter itself introduces a little bit more of what's going on in the plot, why the children from Earth are being hunted by the Royal Army. And it introduces a couple more races as well, like the fire giants are properly introduced, or there's a centaur that shows up as well. So it's always fun to be able to spread my wings a little bit when it comes to writing in Extella Array and introduce different elements from mythology. One of the other things we've been doing, working behind the scenes, is actually trying to get the website launched. Now we're very, very close to it. It's really just kind of tying up some loose ends and making sure that the content is all right and the text has all been edited. So we're very, very close to doing that. There's a huge amount of information that will be released at launch day, that my project partner Alroy Yove has been working on. Alroy is a phenomenal visual effects specialist, so expect to see some pretty cool stuff. I can't wait to launch that. There's bits and pieces of other things. We're very big on kind of the indie artist community, so we'll be doing featured artists, featured authors as well. So if you're interested in having your work appear on the Extella Array website, please do get in touch with us. The best way to do it is to send an email to the author@extellaarray.org address, and I'll pick that up for you. And we'll make sure that your art does get featured at some point. As for the next couple of weeks, like I said earlier in the video, I'm working quite heavily on the Nibelheim novella. Just trying to get bits and pieces of that sorted so that we have a lot of time to work with. Next week we'll be introducing a chapter from Before Crisis, or part of a chapter from Before Crisis. Anyone familiar with the game, or or watching the videos or reading the scripts online, is to do with the Turks arriving at Mount Nibel, just to do the initial investigation of what's happened at the reactor. So looking forward to that. Tifa, of course, shows up in that one. On top of that as well, I'll also be finishing chapter 6 on the Cetran Legacy. As I've mentioned before, I'm kind of looking to focus heavily on building the relationship between Cloud and Aerith. So there'll be a little bit more to do with those two at the end of this chapter here, just setting the stage for actually arriving at Nibelheim and finding what's happened there. So that should be out next week. Following on from that, one of the things that I was hoping to do with my Patreon account was to release a kind of behind the scenes podcast for the Cetrin Legacy and just kind of talk through some of the Easter eggs and bits of pieces of things or thoughts that have gone into the actual chapters themselves that may not be immediately apparent to readers, and it's really just an add-on for people who want to check that out. I'm hoping to the scripts were available. Unfortunately, one of my best friends is a sound technician, and for personal reasons has not been able to help me out in the way that he'd hoped. But hopefully that's now been resolved, and we're looking to get the podcast for chapters 1, 2 and 3 out ASAP. So hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we'll be able to share that. It's maybe going to be Patreon exclusive. It depends on how things play out, but until then, I hope you're able to check out everything that's been released so far. I hope you're able to check back for what I will be releasing in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.